Alright, we're ready to go.
Come now.
When you finish your business outside the palace, please promise me you'll return to resume your duties, Your Majesty. If you take this as my pressuring you not to venture out, that's not it at all. Only that as Captain of the Royal Guard, I must know your whereabouts at all times. Wow, the formality. Sounding awfully formal there, Hulkenberg. Well, that is... Hold on, did I skip one? No. Well, that is... Think of your station. How else would the Knights Captain address the land's king? To be overfamiliar would set a poor example. Imagine the scandalized faces of the rank-and-file guard.
Of course.
That said, not a day goes by that I don't reflect on our travels now, only a year past. I owe regaining my pride as a knight to that journey. I was but a wanderer searching in vain for the prince, and it was through you that I learned he yet lived. And in the end, it was your ascent to the throne I supported.
And so?
I never tire of the faces the young guards make when I tell them of the time you acted as witness to my duel. Ah, Rodanthe. Yes, thanks to you I was able to face him with eyes forward and put my past behind me. I'm pleased to say the knights of today are nothing like what they were under Rodanthe's command. Soldiers take up their sword, not for those in power, but for the people. And as the champion of the people yourself, we will do all in our power to protect you, our king.
Well...
You do not make it easy by sneaking out of the palace as you do, though I suspect the soldiers are getting used to your chaotic tendencies. They know they protect not just a king, but a ruler who stands beside his people and hears their voices in clarion truth.
This I vow.
I will protect you with my life, as I have always endeavored to do, Your Majesty. Only let me stay by your side to do so.
What do you want to do?
There's still other people.
Eh?
Okay, so Maria might be the last one. Glad to see that I can still skate around. Oh, hey, here's a mug I haven't forgotten. You're the king now, ain't ya? The first time I saw you was the night before the royal funeral, if I recall. No offense, but you didn't exactly look like a prince. To think you'd go on to take down the notorious Louise and seize the crown for yourself, I couldn't make up such a story if I tried. But speaking of wild stories, can't you do something about Sunshade Row? What's bothering you? Well, you know the rep old Sunshade Row has. Poor, dirty, but people still struggle to put food on the table here. Have been for a long time. You're a good bloke, and I think you'll make a fine king, but don't think you can just spruce the place up a bit and that'll solve the problem. Well, he doesn't mince words, but I'm glad he's being honest at least.
You're not serious. Oh.
Ah, the Mustari's place in this world will surely find new footing with Lady Yufa, making great efforts as one of the King's 6 partisans. I wish I could say we were free to worship as we pleased, but that's a dream still among the clouds for the moment. Why is that?
This is all right.
Still can't believe it, no matter how many times I see it, the king walking out of the honeybee. City's pretty much back to how it was compared to this time last year. If Louise had ended up king, who knows where we'd be now. There was that whole tournament nonsense. Nobody could keep their mouth shut while that was going on. As far as a damn fool like me was concerned, the whole lot of you might as well have been telling the truth. You and Louise were just two sides of the same coin. Take no offense, will you? Not like I can tell a lie from the truth if I tried.
Peace.
It's just too much.
You lived in a giant sandworm to research bugs. Oh, is the bug guy I didn't notice that there was somebody standing behind her. Ah, quite right. And gold beetles from all over the kingdom as well. Insects are vital to understanding the essence of magic. And here I thought their only use was disgusting Martyran cuisine. What a find. Disgusting Martyran cuisine. Don't let Hulkenberg hear you say that. Say, what would you say to lending your wisdom to my shop? We can do business in the open now, thanks to the king. Oh, I am gratified by the offer. Another supports my research. All right. God, I love these dog designs, man. Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Peace. That's the way. This place has really changed.
Your Majesty, what are you doing in this wretched sinkhole of a... it may be better than it was before, but this is still Sunshade Row. It's no place for a king, Your Majesty. Fewer folks are hanging for nothing these days, but there's still no shortage of knaves who will die at the end of a rope here. As long as there's injustice, there'll be people who think it gave him free pass. Which means there'll be gallows. Last year changed a lot, big and small. I'll hold my post here, hoping that next year's better rather than worse.
This place has really changed.
Hi, Alonso. This was actually one of the first places we saw you. Was sitting right here. At that point, you weren't a Bond,
Pleasure
but
to see you.
this is the first place we saw him. Why, hello, Your Majesty. It's only been a year since your coronation, but I see you've become quite apt at sneaking away from your palatial duties. Under constant fire from knaves of all trades, con artists, and critics alike, your opening act has been rather tumultuous, no? It's been a tough going, but I'm glad we've managed so far. Quite right, your critics are loud and open with their barbs, but plenty more have put their faith in you. Besides, most of those agitators are the kind of scum that stirs the pot in hopes that they might benefit from the country's turmoil. Nothing I couldn't handle, of course. All in a day's work for the Royal Adjutant to the Citizens' Council. Quite an ally I've made, I should hope.
Hey.
I wonder if my mother would be the slightest bit proud to see who I've become. That I'm doing my damnedest to use my talents for good, as I always should have. I'm proud to be working hard alongside you.
Yes.
That's right, supporting you is the best thing I can do. You're the one who's been able to create such a lasting change in our
Now that
country.
you mention it.
That reminds me, do you remember Daturum, my hometown's landowner? He told me to send you his regards. He's since confessed his crimes and is awaiting trial. You were the one who awakened his conscience. It makes sense, doesn't it? You've proven your ideals to be true. That's why the country is doing so well. There's nothing more to it.
Thank you.
I'm hardly qualified to speak of pride, but if this country has one, it's you, and I am proud to be among its people. Perhaps under your rule, the day will come that even we Nydia can walk about freely in our true forms. You're curious what I look like in my true form? I'd be happy to oblige, but let's save that for another time, shall we? Damn it, we're never gonna get to see it. Chibi Alonso remains elusive for us. You know Atlus did this because they just know that the artist community is gonna go ham on that shit.
Oi!
The corpses and the people crouching next to them along Sunshade Row seem to have cleared out lately. A frightful thing, really. They seem terrified of something themselves. Made me anxious just to look at them. I do hope they're feeling like themselves again. It'd be nice to think they found their happiness somewhere out there. Okay, well, it's good to hear that some of them may have actually recovered. So it must have been like an overcoming, like, the people who had like the melancholia sickness and whatnot, are those just people who couldn't handle the anxiety still left over after some of it had been siphoned away from them? I still don't quite know how that all worked, but something like that.
Oh,
Well, I see our king is out on some personal business, eh? I believe Hulkenberg was searching for you. I suppose it's none of my business who comes or goes. I'm on break myself. Only try not to frustrate your royal guards overmuch, They all take their duties quite seriously, much like their captain. Who am I kidding? A knight who smiles is surely a myth. That's become clear to me since becoming titled. What could be more bizarre? A UGF outcast, once a wanted criminal with a bounty on his head, made knight commander? There was of course some opposition at first, but the more heart-to-heart talks I've had, the more accepting they've become. Albeit gradually. Well, they didn't look further than the outcast who became their king.
true.
Indeed, you face no shortage of persecution, and look at you now. Grand titles and posts across the nation are no different, spread across all the tribes. I've realized over the past year just how much a nation is defined by its people. No matter how great a king, he alone does not a country make.
However,
Yet he stands for those very people, a symbol and representative. That the king and those around him are of mixed tribes, it has already caused a great shift in sentiment, even those in the rural villages. How is Tadari?
Now that you mention it.
yes,
He seems as busy as he can handle, now that they've resumed trade with other villages. Your coronation inspired that village to greater heights. It proved that barriers can be broken, and that even they could take the first step. New winds are blowing in every corner of this country. I'll have to make another trip back home with my son to see the changes for myself, soon enough. And someday I hope distant generations will grow up only knowing conflict born of tribal differences from history books.
we shall.
We've a ways to go before that day comes, but until it does, let us forge the path forward, Your Majesty. How you doing, Baz? Nice getup you got there, buddy. How you doing?
Yo!
Hey, out inspecting again. Seems a right pain to me, but I appreciate you going to all the effort. Making your rounds, Baz?
Hey!
Yeah, Captain of the Tradian Brigade? Captain of the Tradian Brigade reporting in, and I'm pleased to report that there's nothing to report, Your Majesty, so I'm taking a break. His hair's longer now, too, isn't it? Yeah. Bit of a mouthful, isn't it? It's still not used to calling myself a captain besides. We've even taken in some survivors from Luisa's troops, you know, but don't worry. I've got 2 eyes on them, even when I ain't looking. I mean, a lot of them were your friends, so...
But
He was among them. The way I see it, they weren't the ones trying to make the world worse. I just gotta show them how power is supposed to be used, yeah? We owe it to you that there's less discrimination in the city these days. Fewer and fewer are turning to a life of crime to make ends meet. If Dell could see Grand Trad today, his eyes would bug out. And not just Dell. A lot of the guys wouldn't who didn't make it. I only wish they could have seen it for themselves.
yeah,
Yeah, same. But long as we keep them in our memory, it's as close to saving them as we can get, Fink included. We built this peace with a lot of blood and tears. So I say those of us who made it this far owe it to all of them. What didn't... All of them what didn't, gotcha, that died. Hold on, I'm just gonna read that sentence again. So I say those of us who made it this far owe it to all of them what didn't to protect it. Maybe I've got nothing to report today, but it's not like bad people just stop being bad because you're king now.
thank you.
You've been through a lot, though, so thanks for not giving up on us. Or the world, for that matter. You spot any trouble that I didn't spot first, you just point me at it. I'll solve it quick, like.
This place is really changed.
Well, I sure don't want to go
I'm
back
just
to the old kingdom.
incredulous.
Neither Louise nor Forden took the crown. It was an elder of all people. Guess our bets were completely off the mark. Yeah, well, something stinks about it. Magic was at work, so who knows? And did you hear the rumor?
Oh.
They're saying those disgusting humans are our ancestors. Nothing but crazy stories since the new king took the throne. The king held it together this year, but who knows if he'll last another. Whoa, Elda! You really became king! King! Hey, king! Oh, king! Why, your majesty, surely your kingliness has no further need of my paltry sums for your mag. Besides, I hear the Mage Academy's been restored. Is it true anyone of any status can attend? Original magic. You trying to end reliance on igniters? Only a matter of time till accumulators like this are obsolete then. I think that's great, personally. It's probably about time to shut this operation down anyway. Not that I expect the Igniter Consortium would let it go without a fight. Lycian would stand with you, of course, but they're not infallible either. Hey man, sounds like they want to make toys, so... Maybe they'll just,
Really nice.
use these things to make things that will help people rather than hurt people. Seems rumors of the king running about in Sunshade Row were true. I've no intention of prying now. Thanks to you, Bess and Louise, I get to keep running my shop. Wasn't sure I could, with the sky turning red there. Not sure we could take another war. What worries you? Oh, nothing in particular. Didn't say that because I think it'll happen, just that nothing ever goes quite the way you think it will, eh? As long as people worry, people will want weapons, so I guess I'll be in business a good while longer.
Nice.
You might be king, but nothing'll change. You'll forget about me. You'll forget I was even here. I won't forget. You actually spoke to me for once. I still don't believe you, though. I've been watching you for a while, for a long time, here in the corner of the city. I hate people who look, see a parapet like me with no place to go and pretend they see nothing. Don't forget that.
Really nice. Well, well.
Oh, your majesty, running around Sunshade Row at this time of year? You must have some very particular tastes. Perhaps you've heard? There's unrest across the land as the oppressed are rising up in revolt against their oppressors. Or perhaps that news hadn't reached your walled garden here in Grand Trad. History books may not be kind to this era. Shouldn't they rise up? Goodness, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you just endorsed rebellion. Don't you realize how your dangerous ideology has become the spark of new threats? The dim-witted of the world only fan the flames with their anxiety, be it people or monsters. To be dissatisfied is in our nature.
Welcome.
My, if it isn't His Majesty, you always were partial to Sunshade Row, weren't you? I know you've hardly had a chance to warm that throne of yours, but the people here are as poor as they've ever been. Money's the only way anyone gets out. It was big news that the Mage Academy reopened anyone, but think about it, only the rich can travel up a mountain. Sorry, I shouldn't talk your ear off about politics. There's a new year to bring in. Looking forward to a more relaxing new year without all the frantic work. Have a happy new year yourself, your majesty. Hey, your majesty, listen to this. We just had a guest in the store claiming to be the chief of Vetria. Oh, really? Denny. He said he wanted ingredients for the withering potion they use in the island, and, how should I put this? That Musari village chief, he's rather, easy on the eyes, wouldn't you say? Wait, sorry, forget about that. I swear, I had a point. I wanted to tell you that all sorts of people come visit now, and I enjoy doing business more than I ever did before. She got a thing for a Denny.
Your patronage is very appreciated.
Oh, it's you. Thanks to your contributions, our work fighting against discrimination is slowly gaining attention. That the new King Iselda with people from every tribe is in key positions is also probably a major factor. Still, we can't expect to end something so deeply rooted with the snap of our fingers. I'm gonna keep doing my best to support those who have suffered.
It's just too much.
Everything's back to normal except the one thing that mattered. Louise ensured my husband would never come home again. But I'm grateful for you. You stayed by my side and gave me courage during my darkest hour. Oh, don't say that. You always cheered me up with your gossip and the funny stories you told. If you're not opposed, I'd like to live on with you. I think together we can deal with whatever comes our way. Yes, you're right. Together, we'll make it through, and I'll need your support. Oh yeah, they're a couple. You guys are gonna be a couple. You're figuring it out. They're figuring it out. They're like, wait, are we gay? You're gay. Just let it happen.
Say there.
She's like, oh, now that my husband is dead, thanks to Louise, I can be my true self. Good for you.
Hey, mister.
Even though Louise died, my dad still isn't happy. It's because my mom died and she can't come back. But you know, mister, I've been cooking instead of my mom, and I'm trying really hard. I'm happy to be with my dad, so next year I'm gonna work harder than ever. My mom is watching me from the sky, isn't she? Just like your dad, Mr. King.
Stupendous.
Say there.
Hello.
Ah, your majesty, it's an honor to meet you at this most auspicious time of year. I know I was quite devoted to Louise at one point. His power was both overwhelming and alluring. Don't worry about it. As generous as you are kind, it's hardly an atonement, but I'll at least try to be straight with you from now on. Not to bring down the mood, but I wanted to mention I sense something familiar among your supporters. I recognize it because I was the same way. In their eyes, you're a hero who conquered the monstrous Louise. They entrusted you with authority because of your power and their desire to be at peace.
Indeed.
Let us assume that the people have expectations not of your ideology, but solely of your power. King or not, failing to see the difference may invite consequences. Please, take it from someone who erred in his ways. The people of this country have not recovered from the unrest, and when they do... Alright.
Stupendous.
I get shivers hearing stories from when the castle was floating in the sky. The place was teeming with crystals and monsters. It was no place for man to enter, no sir. I heard that when the palace came back down, all the monsters had been dried out, like they were statues made of dirt. Rebuilding the place went faster than expected, and I heard they recouped some costs by selling the furnishings inside. Seems like a miracle, doesn't it?
Young man.
It's Xanth. I wasn't expecting to see Xanth again, okay. Oh, you're the bastard who... Well, it's been a while anyway. Bastard, was it? I apologize for my impertinence, Your Grace. I was once known as Sergeant Xanth, though I suppose that title carries little weight nowadays. After losing to you, my own men turned on me and threw me into the Oceana Sea. Awful as all that was, looking back, those events saved my life. I've heard that all those who went with Louise to the royal palace in the sky never returned.
I'm left with no choice.
A world where power is everything. I suppose that would be hell after all. Never thought you would ever inspire me to realize anything, yet here we are. Now I'm spending my days doing charity work as a member of the brigade under Chief Magnus. Good for you. But I'll never give up on making my way up in the world, on my own merits. Matter of fact, I was invited to participate in the Colosseum's games in Brylehaven. While working with the brigade, I helped a nobleman who put in a recommendation for me. It's a brave new world, isn't it? Give me a year and I'll make sure people know the name Xanth as a fighter that electrifies the audience.
Young man.
Young man, young man. Glad to hear that they haven't stopped saying that.
Very good indeed.
Lovely.
So, tomorrow is finally the day. Have you finished your preparations? Our journey to the Mage Academy in Montario will be quite long. Yes, but why are you talking to me as your traveling companion? You saw how much I admired Louise, how hostile I was to your faith. Everyone said foolish things. Faced with national crisis, we clung to power instead of trying to use our powers to solve it. But times have changed. The Mage Academy now opens its doors to anyone. No harm will come to those who want to learn there, but alas, my youth has fled me. So, I'll use my wealth to ensure others can reach it. Take what you learn there and spread it throughout the kingdom, far and wide.
Lovely.
Oh.
Oh, freaking Milo. You're not welcome to my city, leave, bro. Oh, your majesty, it's already been a year since you've ascended to the throne, and 1 year since I lost my bid for it. Thinking back, I've no regrets. I'd not have been able to defeat Louise in the end as you did.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Ha! It would have been impossible for me, and for any of the other candidates if we're honest. I've come to believe in you. I've come to believe in your power, your majesty. Alright, there's a surprising number of errors in the dialogue in this last section. I mean, just because it's the last section, guys, doesn't mean you don't need to proofread. Though I'll not acquiesce on all fronts, you know. You needn't look further than your 6 partisans. Your merry little band. I can appreciate your faith in your inner circle, but to award them all your key posts, why, one might suspect you of collusion. A country requires views from all walks of life, or put another way, why not appoint me your prime minister? With my guidance, Euchronia would become a land of true beauty. I'll put you in charge of Parks and Rec, and then you can just build beautiful parks. How about that? Just when you think he's about to make a decent point, he plays his own angle. Don't let your guard down around that guy.
Lovely.
Oh, your majesty, it has been quite some time since we've met, but I've never forgotten you. You were a young Elda about town from the recruitment center to the mausoleum. I watched from the shadows. There are still times where people hurl abuse on me for being Mustari. However, thanks to your majesty, I can run my business with pride. It just goes to show that it's going to take time to eliminate prejudice like that. We've got to keep at it.
Right.
Goddard, he was one of the first candidates we took out, huh? Well, if it isn't your majesty, it's been a year since you've ascended to the throne, and a quick one at that. Feels like the strife with Louise was but a bad dream. Had you asked me then, I would have been wringing my hands about one so young leading the kingdom, but now, I'm embarrassed to have thought it. You had a keen eye to recognize the danger Louise posed, and are braver still to have fought him. You had a kingly caliber I never truly possessed. Still, a single year is but a drop in the proverbial bucket. Stay vigilant, King.
Lovely.
I see you, Katarina.
Fancy a chat?
Well, if it isn't your majesty, hello there. Ah, even I don't have the pluck to try selling water to the king, especially considering sales are up. We've got customers from across the tribes now. Although I'm guessing people were just avoiding Parapus-owned shops before.
Hi there.
Oh, well, if it ain't the big man himself. Good timing, mate. I just got back into town myself. Where'd you go? I forget.
What a
Well, I'm
day.
captain of the Seekers Recon team, remember? We travel the world, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And crazy doesn't begin to describe what's beyond the sea. The sights, the magic, everything's so fantastic. I'm already itching to get back out there. Yeah, we know next to nothing about the outside world. Well, I'm not especially keen on dodging the bloody cannonballs when my ship gets too close. Lots of tension out there, but what country isn't a little tense? Everything from the customs to the way they think is so different, my head spins. Makes all the tribal bickering seem right dull, if I can speak my mind. But this country's changing for the better. I'm glad I turned over the throne to you. You turned it over? To me, did you? Yeah, I knew you'd do right by the Parabus, so I bowed out early to give you a fighting chance. Just kidding. All my cohort have found jobs, and some of them have even picked up new skills from being out at sea so long.
See you soon, I hope.
But don't you worry your kingly head. I'll have it all whipped up in a report for you. Do something proper kingish with it, yeah? Okay, my guess is that going to Maria is going to be the last thing we want to do.
Say there.
Hey.
Look at Stroll with his frickin' cape. Ah, skulking about the city again, are we? Which is to say, Hulkenberg is on the hunt. Classic game of cat and mouse. No, who is which, I dare not say. It's been a year since you ascended the throne, but it's like you've hardly changed. Well, I could say the same for you. That's Lord or General Stroll, Your Majesty. Never get used to such titles. I really should take a page from Juna's book. She has a gift for delegating, like she was born to do it. Not that I can talk myself. I actually came out for a bit of a breather myself. You know, I see now that even those at the top have their struggles a little too clearly. General's duties feel overwhelming at times. But there are lives hanging in the balance. I recognize the weight of every action I take, and I do find satisfaction in protecting those lives. Remember our first meeting back at the recruitment center? I, a fallen noble with nothing to my name, and you, a struggling elder traveler. Yeah, we need to go in there and see if anybody's in the recruitment center. Back then, my only goal was getting ahead. My people were little more than an afterthought. If I hadn't met you, I'd never realized the truth about my fortune, my father's intentions, and I certainly couldn't have saved the Hallions.
Thank you.
I owe seeing the joy in their faces to you. I think I've said it before, but again, thank you.
That's...
You need to give yourself some credit, Stroll.
No.
Well, I would still owe any credit I could take to you for showing me the way. They live stable, peaceful lives thanks to you. You've a whole country on your shoulders now. The road ahead will be full of challenges we can't possibly foresee. But show me the way. I'll blaze the trail. Now and always, it's my role as a warrior to be the vanguard.
That's why.
Our titles may have changed, but I'd like to think our friendship is steadfast as ever. Don't hesitate to rely on me now and always.
Stay there.
You got it, buddy. We learned how brittle peace is, as well as the preciousness of a life lost. The peace we've regained could be lost again. We must remain vigilant.
Grand. Wonderful.
I miss the days when the face rock was here. Never knew what to expect back then. Joyful one moment, miserable the next. Remember, after Louise was defeated and the king decided? Indeed I do. Suddenly his majesty's face eclipsed the others for the briefest of moments, then it all crumbled away like sand. Over a bit too soon after all that palaver, I'd say. I liked his coronation speech, but can't say he's accomplished much of any importance since then. Well, his strength certainly was incredible during the final battle in Grand Trad, but I wonder what people in other cities who didn't see that sight think of things. Either way, as long as next year is uneventful and peaceful, I'll consider it a win.
Wonderful.
Take the wins where you can, right?
Welcome.
Oh, Your Majesty, I was wondering who you might be. I see you're still fond of wandering these parts like always. I get it, though. I do love the night market myself. Until last year, that is. Then I began to hate it, no thanks to Louise. It was truly a terrible situation all around, and yet somehow things have recovered, and I have high hopes they'll be better than ever. Okay, nobody else over there. You're still having trouble over here, dude? You've been struggling for a year now? Things really all right now. Oh, now I kind of feel bad. The dude is actually going through it, like he has PTSD or something. All right. Let's get this man some help, huh? Am I alive after all that's happened? Yes, you are. It's been a year. We came out of it okay.
We'll watch that.
We've both been through a lot of terrible things, but we will overcome them one by one. Yes. Poor guy.
Become a proper kingdom now, is this?
Russell! Russell, you're here! Oh, Gallica, and your highness as well. But that's no longer your title, is it? Excuse my impertinence, your majesty. Still, knowing that the New Year celebrations were just around the corner, I couldn't resist returning to the capital to see how the kingdom was faring. How do you find it? I see smiles everywhere I go. The city feels alive again, and it seems as though its citizens are free to choose their own paths. I must say I never imagined that I'd return here without all the cloak and shadow. I owe a great deal to the work of Lady Juna. To think I'd be able to see Grand Trad with His Highness sitting openly upon the throne. Alcess, are you seeing this as well?
Yep.
We've got a long way to go, but I know Grius will be watching. I should tell you a sizable number of the villagers in the Sanctum have gained an interest in the outside world. I've been acting as sort of their bridge. It seems this doddering old fool has found a new role, to find the middle ground for both those who wish to preserve tradition and those who seek innovation.
Yep.
I couldn't think of a better man for the job, Russell. I'm sure you'll be great help to the village. I fought so long to save this country, but seeing all these smiling faces now, I think perhaps I'm the one being saved. This is a country that protects its people, and the people shape the country in return. Surely that's the world His late Majesty wished to see. Not to simply chase the ideal of utopia, but to shape it with our own hands. We've a long way to go, but I trust you'll continue to make this country stronger, Your Majesty.
Wonderful, isn't it? Yeah?
Excuse me, aren't you an elder? Please don't take that the wrong way, I'm just curious. Those three are elder too, aren't they? I wondered if perhaps you knew them or something. Oh god, all Elda know each other, clearly. Oh, I knew it. I mean, I know the king is Elda, but isn't it strange that you never see others in town? I was being sarcastic, girl. That was a microaggression. I saw that group gazing at the Grand Cathedral and I thought, oh, maybe it's their first time in the city. Isn't that incredible? That elderly lady in the middle is floating, for heaven's sake. Is it some sort of igniter? Couldn't be, then how? Oh, and the other woman's clothes are so beautiful, goes without saying, but you can't find clothes like that in Grand Trad, can you?
What should I do?
There's something just so incredibly charming about them. Do you think I should try talking to them?
Oh, there!
Oh, yep, there she is.
Wonderful,
Okay.
isn't it? Wonderful, isn't
All right,
it?
well, to be honest to that girl, I did know at least one of them. Gruiday. Lady Gruiday. Oh, it's been quite some time, hasn't it, Vernacular? You've matured a great deal in the short year since I saw you. Rumors of your rule have reached even the Sanctum. Some are kinder than others. Taking the reins of a runaway country must have had its share of difficulties. Your face tells me as much. The frail child who could do little more than lie on the brink of death has come so far. Goodness, tears come so easily with old age. I'm grateful for you. I did nothing. You're the one who achieved everything.
What?
I'm surprised to see you in Grand Trad, Lady Gruiday. It's a curious thing. I received a rather forceful invitation here, you see, from one of your friends, the girl named Juna. Goodness knows how many times she's already come to visit the Sanctum, seeking instruction on magic. Some of the villagers are rather smitten with her. She declared that if I wouldn't feel welcome coming to Grand Trad, she would have a highway built directly between the capital and the Sanctum. Oh, Juna. And she probably would. So, there you have it. Now then, Vernac, or rather, King Vernac, the 1,000-year seclusion of the Elder Tribe may soon come to an end under your guidance. And yet the journey ahead of you will be hard. The dreams you hope to achieve will feel just out of reach. So do stop by and show your face around our forest sometime. Your mother cannot do so herself, but I can whip up some of her favorite dishes in her spirit.
I love it.
We as a character never learned that our mother was the one talking to us.
I love it.
That's too bad. Where's Batlin?
This place.
Makes me nostalgic for our days of candidate debates. Feels like everyone's discussing national politics now, doesn't it? Yeah, I was always bad at those debates. I never picked the right option.
Amazing.
Can't overstate how miserable things were because of Louise, but I didn't end up fleeing, perhaps because seeing your majesty fight stirred a sense of duty within me. I know there are still many who don't approve of you, but I shall do my part to protect the country you lead. It's my duty as your soldier. I wish the country nothing but the best over the coming year.
I can keep you, child.
Were you one of the other knights that we fought in, the Caradrius? Well, if it isn't His Majesty, the Captain of the Royal Guard was looking for you as a former guard captain of the Caradrius. Perhaps I should report your whereabouts. Why are you here? Well, I suppose I should reintroduce myself. I'm Salva, in service of the kingdom, the captain of the state army. I parted ways with Louise shortly before his runner made for the Skyborn Royal Palace. When I saw the horror that Zorba had become, I knew the world he wanted was no world of mine. I thought I'd found my place within Louise's private forces after being disgusted by the shameless corruption of the Royal Army. But his true intentions were worse than I could imagine. It was the general who pulled me back in. He said my experience leading a force of mixed tribes would be valuable. I'd only taken the job in hopes of atoning, so it's a strange twist to serve with pride in the state army I once so detested. Still, I wonder why he bothered with
May
us.
God keep you, child.
I wonder if Salva's the one that we didn't end up fighting because we bypassed it? There's Barden.
Lovely, that.
Barden we met inside the recruitment center for the first time.
That's something.
What an unexpected coincidence, Your Majesty. No guards with you today. Don't worry, I'm no tattletale. I myself just left a meeting going over how the provincial governments are doing. We convened for the new year. And how are things in Martira?
So,
Oh, it's as lively as it used to be. And we owe it all to you, Your Majesty. That dodgy mess you cleared up for us feels like ancient history now. And I'm pleased to report, as head of the provincial lords, it's nothing but good news reaching my ears. Better relations between towns has employment up and overall welfare too. Each town has specialties and wisdom to offer, and when we combine our heads, there's no problem we can't solve. I just feel so blessed to be part of it. I know I made some blunders when I first stepped into the governor's role, but I'm happy to share my failings so others don't repeat my mistakes. Are things all right now?
but of course.
Well, indeed they are. The townspeople play an active role in policy and administration, and I'm not bearing that weight alone. Of course, some lords are like I was once, and would rather manage things at their sole discretion than leave things to the people. And yes, taking every matter to public opinion can be laborious. What with all the proceedings and disputes.
Then again.
Still, changing our own lives with our own hands makes the process worth the trouble.
yeah.
And choosing a king of our own will was all the inspiration we needed for change.
Lovely, that.
Oh, Your Majesty, it's an honor. I've only recently been assigned my post here at the recruitment center, so... Actually, I was sorting through enlistment records from 2 years ago, and I was surprised to find a certain signature. That's right, your Your Majesty's signature. And General Stroll's as well. I was quite surprised to discover that the two of you had met here. To think that they deployed the future king in the army. Horrifying.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any bounties for you, Your Majesty. We've been at peace for a while, thanks to you, and we're dealing with things one step at a time.
Uh-huh.
Lovely, that.
A lot of reading today. I'm starting to feel it in my voice a little bit, but we're almost there, I think.
Ain't this a pickle?
Okay, last major map.
Wonderful.
How about a fortune?
Oh my, has His Majesty come to have his fortune told? Oh, I jest, of course. I believe you've become acquainted with the Chief of Etria. I was able to speak with him for just a moment. He's a truly outstanding figure in both ability and insight. As a fortune teller, I still have much to learn.
Wonderful.
Greetings.
Hi, Yufa. You're looking lovely today. Working hard as ever, Vernak. Were you going about town and listening to what the people have to say? Myself, I'm just come from the Crown Court, where I've been consulting with the people about their grievances and disputes as Chief Magistrate.
Well,
Our court is taking on common grievances?
Yes, of course.
In the past, we were busy with cases of violence and theft, but those have decreased remarkably.
In truth.
As you're undoubtedly aware, in the past, many citizens were sentenced to hang without so much as a trial.
Alas.
I'm pleased to report things are different now. Anyone regardless of race or status can tell their side of the story in court and be judged equally and fairly. It just goes to show anything is possible, even for a priestess to become a chief magistrate. And my brother is making great strides as a village chief. He rather hated the role before, but he's truly found his calling, I think.
The reason is.
As I said, no one knows what the future holds. It's all the more reason I try to guide people to good choices. I want to live in a society that practices kindness, where those who suffer need not turn to crime. And so I practice what I preach.
Now that you mention it.
The other day I went to visit Ovi's church to inquire with those who are sick about how the kingdom can be more accessible to them. Was Ovi doing well?
Very well.
Yes, we practiced dancing together, and then we showed her mother. All of them are ready to ease into working again. Hearing them made me reflect on all the people who still need our help. Until now, the only hope those people had was God.
I do believe.
I want to fight for them to have options under laws and systems that they can rely on in addition to higher power. A country where all the tribes with all their values can join hands in harmony. That's what we need.
Because.
You aim to achieve that too, yes? Your Majesty, I hope you'll allow me to keep walking alongside you in this. You are so sweet. Yufa is definitely best girl amongst our party members.
All right.
Ha! Are you surveying the city incognito, Your Majesty? Your escorts would be aghast. Not that I think anyone is truly capable of harming you. They aren't. As you are aware, faith in the Sanctus Church plummeted after our misdeeds were exposed. I admit we were arrogant and unjust, wicked in custom, but people have found salvation through the Church as well. I intend to restore the Sanctus Church to its true purpose, to offer salvation to those in need. As Sanctiarch, and as someone who was saved by the Sanctus faith myself, that is all I can do to return the
May
favor.
God keep your child.
Okay.
what now?
May God keep your child.
Oh, hey, Denny.
Hey.
Hello there, Your Majesty. It's great to see that you are doing as well as ever. I've just left a meeting with the provincial lords. I also preach the Mustari teachings in various areas when the opportunity arises. Many still push back against such teachings, but that's perfectly fine. A country is well served by different perspectives. Many of the villagers have come around to this too, you know. I think that's because you all face such danger on our behalf. Still, it won't be easy to change the entirety of Euchronia. Its history is embedded deep in its roots. The country is larger, and some people will need all the power you have. The true test of your values has only just begun. Ain't that the truth? I hope not to let you down. With your sister or with this country.
Treasury.
Just recently, a sanctor in Brilhaven was brought to judgment. His crime, using Parapet subjects for atrocious igniter experiments. The church reaffirms its dedication to cracking down on inhumane acts such as these.
Wonderful.
Well, you guys were the ones who were doing them to begin with, so I'm glad at least you're trying to change that. Well, the church is actually owning up to its scandals. The town criers around here sure have changed. Nah, they're just trying to put up a good show for the new king. Doing things like they always have would only send them spiraling further. There might be a little bit of truth to that too, but we'll take wins where we can get them.
Oh.
Hey, how's it going, Batlin? You were a true friend throughout this. I never expected that at the beginning. Like, who expected this guy to be such a likable character, huh? Well, hello there, Your Majesty, as laid back as ever I see. I myself have been crying like a baby, for I find my position as Chairman of Parliament quite an unfamiliar one. Still, I've considered these open to all parliamentary meetings. Compiling all those opinions is indeed hard work, but work well worth doing. It won't be easy for those who were at the church's beck and call to change, but I think they've been starting to see what they turned a blind eye to. At least a bit, no? A person who speaks the real truth to the public without yielding to authority. That's what my father and I wished for, a true and proper town crier. This country's turned over a new leaf, but there are still many problems to work out. It seems the rural regions are still suffering from human havoc.
I'm counting on you.
All I'm saying is we're a long way from utopia, but still, first step is as important as the last, and we're taking big ones.
The prince has become magnificent.
Hello.
Oh, this fucking guy. Creepiest design in the game, and that's saying a lot. Ah, is that your majesty? What fortune to bump into you at the end of the year like this. If there is anything my humble personage may be able to do for you, your radiance, I am at your service. Say but one glorious word and I shall most happily...
Honestly.
Okay, laying it on a bit thick, aren't we? It's that forked tongue that got you into trouble last time. You hear me? One wrong move and I'm turning you over to Basilio. You've gotta turn your life around. Of course. What was that laugh?
You are.
Oh no, who's this, His Royal Majesty the King? What's brought you to my little dive? Come to think of it, I said some rude things to you last year. Told you to keep your elder head down. No hard feelings? Tribal quarrels haven't quieted down here at all. Might even be worse now that everyone's equal in the eyes of the law. But sometimes fists just need to fly. It's not like it was back when the sky was red as blood and death was everywhere. In fact, it's amusing to see new faces around here. It's a good change, I think.
Oh-ho!
I still remember the day I met you last year. Your Majesty, I felt you had a kind heart bothering to listen to an old man's folktales. A sincere young man loved by fairies finds happiness. Folktales aren't just tired old stories for dreamers. I'd say they have the power to tell the future sometimes, though maybe that's giving them a little too much credit.
Just sublime.
Okay, we can go into the Gauntlet Runner. It makes me nostalgic now, thinking of the strategy meetings we once had.
All right.
Maybe I should go in. If we can still do it. Please give me a luck up stat, please. That would be so good. Oh, that would have been just icing on the cake. No, can't use the washroom. No showers for us today. Stinky boys only. I'm the Stinky King. What? Nurse isn't in here? It's possible this igniter was prepared for me so I could learn about this country. Okay, I guess Nurse isn't in here. The cockpit, which was a mangled wreck after the fight against Luis, has been completely restored. Alright, he'll be out here somewhere. Oh, he's right there. Oh, what brings His Royal Majesty here? Come to feel the wind on your face too, have you?
Aha!
I know how it is. I have the fancy old title of Chief Engineer of the Kingdom's Infrastructure Development Bureau, that's a mouthful, and can research as I please now. But something's missing, so I threw off that stuffy old uniform and came to gaze upon the runner in the way I do. Take your job seriously, please. Nurse, maybe if you took your job a little more seriously.
Just a moment.
Oh, I am. The research part at least, but you must feel it too, eh? The sudden urge to take the runner into the sky and leave all your cares on the ground below.
Perhaps.
Not that I'm ungrateful for the gracious title you've given to a man who used to skulk about modifying gauntlet runners. You haven't seen anything yet. Why, one day I'll invent a teleportation device that will deliver fresh fish straight from Oceania to your palatial plates. It would change the world, wouldn't you say? I'm just a bit, stuck at the beginning on the development.
Indeed.
And it's times like this I need stimulation of the mind. You have anything that might do the trick?
That's...
Are you going to send me on another relic hunt? Don't pretend you didn't enjoy it. Every time you'd pop back in with one, I remember how I could hardly contain my excitement. I do so miss traveling like that. Even if the relics themselves were better off left untouched, they've become the guiding principles of my research, you know.
That's...
Convenience is important, but one must consider safety and the effects it might have on the world. An engineer who dumps a burden on future generations is no engineer at all.
However...
Still, it's no small feat to design with a perfect balance of safe and revolutionary. Even I struggle with it, and I'm a bally genius. I knew it! What I need is stimulation. Your Majesty, you know, like the soul-shaking speed and quiver of a drive engine. You'll let me know if you ever want to go out for a spin, won't you? Our dear old girl's sparkling clean and always ready for takeoff. He's like, please let me fly again.
Hi there!
Hiya, boss. Oh, dang. I suppose I shouldn't be speaking to you so casually, huh? Then again, we were rivals, weren't we? And Caden Workshop's the official workshop of the Palace Engineers now. Not that it's here nor there. Besides, I am glad you got the crown.
Oh, then.
Still, lots of humans out there you'll have to deal with, and you'll need a gauntlet runner to get to him. Caden Workshop thanks you for your patronage. Your Majesty, do you have something you need with the gauntlet runner? All's well here. If it's not overstepping, might I tell you something I've always wanted to say? Do you remember a long time ago when Louise dropped that human on the city? I was actually assigned to duty at the Grand Cathedral that day. The state army was in complete disarray and us soldiers were absolutely terrified. But it was the rumors about you that kept us afloat in the dark times. Your Majesty, you couldn't go a day without hearing someone insult the lesser tribes, and here comes this group led by some Elder, fighting through the cathedral with no regard for their lives. If you'd only known how much the tales of your heroism and courage gave to the guards that day. I couldn't thank you then, so please allow me to do so now. You truly are a hero king, Your Majesty. Thank you.
Oi!
Okay, another one from the Caradrius. You moron, can't you see I'm busy? Oh, it's you, Your Majesty. Remember me, do ya? Refresh my memory. A young king, but with a bad memory, I see. How could you forget Saiba, former maintenance chief of Luis's Gauntlet Runner? I was just examining Your Majesty's Gauntlet Runner as part of my research duties. I recall how astonished I was to see her take to the sky the first time. I wanted to get back to my engineer roots, but then Luis started showing his true colors and the Caradrius went down. I've got to say, Your Majesty, you're too soft. We used to be enemies, but you recommended us for the brigade and gave us work anyways. Pretty genius making old Basilio the captain too. Luis's old crew will fall in line like wooden soldiers. Though I'm not sure that kind of leniency forges nations. So off with you, huh? Can't imagine you can afford to waste time on relics like me. Be well, Your Majesty. Can't believe the owner of this sweet Gauntlet Runner ended up king. But it helped me come to a decision. In the new year, I'm gonna go see even more Gauntlet Runners.
An elder?
The King's tribe won't catch anyone bad-mouthing them now, not openly anyway. What do you think of the current king? In my opinion, he's a victim of the last one. If you think about it, he used the royal magic to put the whole kingdom in chaos, and that's what caused Luisa's rebellion in the first place. Who's the real root of all evil here? I lost a good number of friends to it all. Couldn't bring myself to mourn the death of the last king, still can't. You don't realize who you're talking to, do you?
Oi!
Behold you lot, we're here, the heart of the country, Grand Trad. Wow, I bet even a parapus could find work here now. Suppose it's true what they say. Change the king, the country changes too. Don't get too carried away now. Still plenty of folks who will spit on the ground you walk. Got high hopes for next year, though.
So,
I wondered how things were going to end for a while there, but things seem quite under control now. I'm glad the threatening madman didn't end up king. Still, an upstart from a forgotten tribe has no business slighting the established nobility. A king with nothing but flowery speeches and ideals will hit a wall before too long. No different than the last king, really. We can't slack off on guarding the Magla accumulator just because the country's at peace. Rather, that's precisely why we can't. If even mag dust like this can be abused, we could have another riot in our hands. Powers that shake the world will breed new ambition. Hard to be optimistic about this new regime.
aha.
Hello there, Your Majesty. I still remember that night in the city when I first laid eyes on you. The evening of the royal funeral. It was the first time I'd ever seen someone from the Elder tribe, and I immediately knew that there was something special about you.
Again,
And I'd say I was right on the money. Okay, nobody down there. How's it going, Juna? Wait,
Wait a sec.
isn't that the cat from Academia? If that place was made of magic, how was it here in real life? To say nothing of how we could have survived in a deserted ruin buried in the snow, that shouldn't be possible, right? I just think he's so damn cute.
That's a good kitty.
And yet he's never stopped looking cute. It doesn't bother you at all? You sure are something else. If memory serves, the last king did build himself a study in the Mage Academy. Do you think Academia was styled after that, maybe? I wonder what His Majesty, what Moore felt when he put this little guy in Academia. The cat tends to himself quietly, utterly impartial to us. Oh, they don't give us one final petting of the cat. Hi, Juna. Love your new getup. Love the witch hat.
My king.
Oh, there you are, Vernak. Heard you were in town, so I decided to see if we might cross paths. I have so much to tell you about my inspection, so I'm afraid you'll need to clear your diary for me soon.
In that case,
Did you bring me back any souvenirs?
Gosh.
Oh, let's just focus on the report. Don't worry, I'll give you just the gist. Firstly,
Well?
the Mage Academy's reconstruction is going swimmingly. Repairs are in full swing and we're already processing admissions. I must say, I'm still surprised you appointed me of all people to be the Academy's headmistress. I was rather looking forward to going back on tour as a songstress. Oh, and shall I introduce you to my furry little friend? I scooped him up in the Academy of all places. Oh, I love it. During the reconstruction, they stumbled on the little guy in some kind of observatory, supposedly used by a king long ago. Yep. Considering the igniter around his neck, I'm sure he was being taken care of. I mean, there's no way a cat could survive alone in that cold, could he?
So,
Regardless, our mysterious kitty is only the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to the Academy, all that knowledge was lost when it fell, so we're starting from scratch. It may even be hiding secrets as big as the Dragon Temple or the Sanctum. Oh, and I'm keeping the cat. Feels like fate, you know?
speaking of
You
which,
should. And speaking of fate, on my way back, I met up with Murtis. Oh,
now we're
nice.
talking.
She's been keeping well, I hope?
Yeah.
More than well, her throat has been fine, and she's a fairly prominent singer about town now. We both just keep soaring to new heights. Her in music and me coming face to face with magic again.
Hey.
Surely you remember music was the first magic born in this world, yes? When the heart expresses itself through music, it moves the hearts of others, and when they make hearts swell, why, there's no end to the magic. So just you watch. With music and magic at my side, I'm going to change the world. All will have equal opportunity to hone their talents at the Mage Academy. Our doors are open to all. That's what my sister would have wanted. And if it makes the world a better place, why, isn't that just grand?
Magic.
Rella taught me that magic is more than a tool. It's in all of us, deep in our hearts. Damn, that's sweet. Damn it, Rella. Damn it, Rella.
Dear me.
I'm still sad about Rella. And Elda. Wait, aren't you His Majesty the King? Why would you be in a place like this? Nope, wrong Elda.
Ugh, come on, Fish.
So you say. Just because the King's an Elda doesn't mean everyone's accepted it, you know. Yeah, you were always one of the ones that hated the Elda, huh? I thought we'd see less of that kind of stuff, but I guess we couldn't expect prejudice against the Elda to disappear overnight. Hateful wench.
Ain't this a pickle?
I'm relieved that the royal palace has returned to its original location. Even now, there's people who can hardly believe that it was floating about, making its way around the entire kingdom. But I saw it with my own eyes. I witnessed the moment the red light within the king's eyes vanished, and the palace returned the gouged to the gouged out land it was pulled from. Cabio. Ah, traveling with Lady Juna sure was fun. Your Majesty? What business do you have with a former helmsman like me? What about Juna now? Well, I had the honor of attending to her during an expedition. I actually think she's on her way to the palace in order to meet with you. Huh? You didn't hear from Chief Magnus? Lady Juna was off inspecting the Mage Academy, and I was the flight's helmsman. It knocked me on my arse when Lady Juna left Louise's company, you know? I left right after she did. Yeah, you were a huge fan of Juna, I remember. Anyway, still undecided about you being king and all that, but I do appreciate you taking me in. So I'm gonna work to repay that favor.
Control, yeah?
On that note, about time I get back to work. Oh, and don't tell me the chief I was shooting the breeze here. Hey, Your Majesty.
Ain't this a pity?
Hey,
Hey, what's the word, Your Majesty? Just one question, if I may. When are you gonna lower the booze prices in this country? I'm only kidding ya. Haven't felt much like drinking till I black out so often anymore. Oh, dude, you were using it that way? I mean, if you ever want to party, I'll party, but if you're trying to drink less, maybe I won't be the enabler. Well, after I entered the tournament, I really went through some stuff. I was acting a fool on the world stage, and to you too. I'm grateful, you know. Can't speak for the rest of the country, but you've done right by us, Parapus. We've got it better than we ever did. Some chuckleheads out there still try to take their aggression out on us, but they're just venting, probably. I'm sure you'll do something soon enough.
Ain't this a pickle?
How's it going, Brigitte? What are you doing with the Igniter stuff these days? Oh, the king himself out browsing the shops. Perhaps I need to draft up a royal certificate of appointment. Tell the world we supply goods to the royal family. Any recommendations? One Igniter in particular, in fact, though I'm afraid we're all sold out of it at the moment. The Igniter I made at the children's request. The one that lights up with rainbow colors. It's selling startlingly well. The store was packed with families and children. I now hold a position where I control the distribution of all manner of goods throughout the kingdoms as the head of the Igniter Consortium. I can't help but think that if I had been in this position sooner than the church's violence, the tragedy of that village could have been prevented.
Brigitte.
What matters is how we move forward, though, right?
Yes.
Indeed. I can dwell on the past all I wish, but it won't change it. The future, on the other hand. I took up this post after I was nominated by my colleagues. In other words, I suppose that means people have expectations of me, and that I, too, am a spoke in the wheel of change. Our new king has changed this country for the better. However, as a former arms dealer, it would be naive to think all weapons can ever disappear from this world.
Yet.
It's all the more reason I hope that the reasons for people to wield them continue to decline. To that end, I'll continue doing all that I possibly can, with all that I am, just as you do.
Speaking of,
Ah, yes. Do you remember my dog? I found the ones who took her. Naturally, I considered ending their lives. Please tell me the dog lived. But there she was, sitting beside them. Evidently, they could not bring themselves to harm such a sweet creature. Yes! I was ready to just quit the game. If she told me that the dog was dead in that moment, I think we would have just quit. That would have been the end of our playthrough. All right, Atlus, we get to see this through to the end. You did it. Good job. So they decided to keep her instead. I had no choice but to spare their lives. I couldn't subject a gentle dog to the atrocities I'd commit in her name. That's fucking hilarious. I fucking love you, Brigitte. You should come play with her sometime. I'm sure she remembers you. Well, she tended to like me a little bit more than she liked you at the time. Hopefully, you've gained her trust. I think you have. Your Majesty, it has been some time since you've graced us with your presence. What style of igniter may I help you with this time? Ah, jest. I jest. I know that's not what you are here for. As you can see, it is thanks to you that the Lycian Magic Association has been able to continue its business. Our king has shown us what magic ought to be. Humans and other threats still stalk the land, so igniters and their power have remained an indispensable asset in maintaining the country. All this talk of original magic that doesn't rely on igniters, it's going to take some time to make it viable.
Come again.
We'll continue to produce igniters with pride, helping to bridge this era with the next.
Oi there!
Hey, Mr. Driver, how long until we depart? I'm bloody eager to get a move on. First Oceania, then Montario. My cross-country trip starts now, a new chapter in my life. Not to ruin your fun, but this carriage doesn't go that far, you know that, right? Okay. I think we've just about talked to everybody.
Oi!
After all that fuss across the kingdom, the one who ended up on the throne was the, blood heir after all. The irony. He had the strength to take down Luis, I'll give him that, but in the end I guess blood's all that ever matters. Yeah, he was the only viable choice of the lot. Who knows if he'll be a decent king? Suppose that all depends on what he does next. I suppose it does. Okay. Anything in the middle of the street that we missed? I don't think so.
Let's go see.
Okay. I mean, did we talk to everybody? I think we did. We haven't talked to Gallica. We talked to Stroll, Hulkenberg, Heismay, Juna, Yufa, Baz, Nuris, Maria we're going to, Katarina we found, Alonso, Barden, Brigitte. So it's Moore, Maria, and Gallica. And we know that Moore disappeared, so I don't think we get to go and talk to him again.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, I can't remember when I started recording, but it's almost midnight now.
Lovely.
I've been playing for several hours. I think we're going on like 5 hours right now.
So?
Wonderful.
Well, I think we've heard all we can from the people. Should we head to where Maria is?
That reminds me.
Being here sure brings back memories. You remember how we came here looking for Maria before the tournament for the throne? She was crying back then, though.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember. This country's turned around since then, no doubt about it. I'm sure there will always be differences of opinion, but your ideals are really coming to fruition now. I can feel it. That reminds me, what's up with the book you're carrying around now? Is that the one you've been working on yourself? Ooh, we're writing our own. Just like our dad asked us to.
Oh.
I'm excited to see what kind of fantasy you can conjure up. But maybe that's not even the word for it. After all, if you're the one putting it in ink, that means you're going to make it a reality someday. Now then, Your Majesty, shall we get going? All put back together. Oh, Maria, you sweet girl. My daughter.
Oh. Hello there.
Hello.
Oh, right. I suppose now I should call you Your Majesty.
Papa is fine.
You know, I was just telling Papa, even through all that mess, everyone's really been working hard.
Am I keeping my promise properly from back then?
Yes, you beat the villain, and now the city's full of smiles. And I'm sure Papa's smiling down on you too.
That's good. Hearing that from you really lifts my heart.
It's a joy to see kids like her smile. The future changes slowly, and the burden of its momentum will fall on their shoulders one day.
Don't worry. I'll try to do my part with what I've got. I want to help everyone understand that the world could be a better place if we can join hands with one another. Miss Fabian's fed so many hungry people since things changed. Some of those
'Cause she's a
people even
goddamn
said they found
saint.
their place there. I think I did too. If we can all change together for the better like that, we'll be closer to Your Majesty's and Papa's dream.
A place where I ought to be. A side of myself I ought to show. The path is never clear.
And I want to help with something too. I want everyone across the land to be able to smile.
Yes. I expect great things, my trusty advisor.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Majesty. Oh.
Alright, so, like, we're gonna make her, what, she's going to be, like, she's gonna be the next ruler. Like, I mean, we're marrying Fabienne, which will make her the princess. She'll be the oldest child, even if we have another. And she's gonna be first in line. So she's gonna take over the crown, and she's gonna be a great queen.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Aw.
We should be the ones thanking her. Feels like I can see the entire country's future in her smile.
Everyone.
Long time no see. How have you been?
As we find ourselves afield, I thought I might visit Alsace myself.
Hold on a tick. Those people there. Surely not.
Naturally, we're drawing attention. We didn't all have to go at once.
Needn't fuss, old thing. It's been too long since we were all together again anyway.
Lady Tudor,
Did she really come all this way in a runner? Could have asked His Majesty to pop over and bring you back with a teleport or two.
The unmitigated nerve.
Oh, it's fine. I wanted to take in our country as it is.
Yeah, I forget we're the only ones who can trigger that power, huh?
It's definitely a little rougher outside the capital's walls. There's still traces of melancholia around, and the odd human roaming about.
We're sending soldiers out for every incident we can. But it's not easy to hear the voice of the people from more distant regions.
I guess it's obvious. But just because you're king now doesn't make you suddenly all-seeing.
A lesson I learned last year. In the end, I was blind to a great deal of this world. Never would have learned if I hadn't pushed out the door and seen it with my own eyes.
He's right, the capital can be a bit of a bubble. There will always be more to do and learn beyond its walls.
A year ago, I would have just said we could fly over ourselves. I mean, let's be real. The capital isn't going to fall apart if we just sneak over for a little tour, is it?
Of course not. We specifically put precautions in place to keep things running.
Yet it has only been 1 year. We cannot be too complacent too soon, lest the dissidents seize on the opportunity.
Oh, there he is! Over there! See? I told you, that's His Majesty, innit?
Might have been a bit too obvious.
Oi there, Your Majesty!
You dare hoy the king? You swine!
Oh no, you gotta chill, Hulkenberg.
You needn't draw steel on the poor fellow. We're the ones who indulged in this little day trip.
Your Majesty, thanks for all you do, really. Have to say, my life's a lot easier now.
Alright, Hulkenberg, you cannot threaten the common folk. This is the opposite of what we're trying to do.
There's more work to do every day, but we're in this together. We believe in you.
Everyone's so supportive. Kind of brings back memories from last year.
Rather. It's the sort of thing to get a chap all misty-eyed over the past. What a journey it was.
We really did just leg it up and down the country slaying dragons, eh? Can't believe we actually survived it.
They were dangerous times, but exciting ones too.
When we fought to appease the dragon god, I had no idea we would have to face another 4 dragons.
Nor I. Never thought the day would come when I'd be hailed as a dragon slayer. Life is full of surprises.
Right.
I resolved to believe in my ideals, no matter what may come even back then. Even if the world is slow to change, a king's beliefs can never waver.
It was a hard road, but we did have fun together, didn't we?
Looks like we're drawing a crowd. Time to get back to work.
Indeed. A veritable mountain of tasks awaits us, and I will see it crested.
And not long after, the new year dawned.
A journey? Are you really planning on leaving us?
There's more I have to see. With my own eyes.
You want to know what's going on in the world, huh? Well, I guess you are the king.
Sounds like fun, but a daily jaunt down to the slums is one thing, and a proper journey is quite another. You're a king now, lad. You've got the people's expectations on your shoulders. It's all right to just sit on your throne and mind the home front, you know?
I don't care to be kingly. That's less important than doing what I need to do.
You're not even concerned? Can't you take this a little more seriously?
Ever the fearless gadabout, eh? Well, I take your point, lad. Magla and the humans make a fine barometer for the anxiety still swirling in the country. So you go out and give it a proper survey. Where it is and how much is there. If people can't face their anxieties, they can't keep their eyes forward. And if they can't do that, we'll have a bally hard time moving forward as a nation or a people. So you want to get a better grasp of it all. That's your most important duty as a ruler. That's what you're thinking, eh?
Right.
Even the most faraway future begins with the belief that it can be realized. So I'll press onward. That's the best I can do.
If that was your plan, you could have just said so.
Sounds like a fine idea to me. A proper spot of fun, besides. Wouldn't expect any less from our king and captain.
Hulkenberg is gonna
since I'm
shit
the
a brick.
bally court engineer, I've no choice but to come along. I'm the only driver fit to maneuver the Royal Skyrunner after all.
Lucky you, Nurse.
Why, you're the Dragon Slayer King. Bane of monsters all across the country. When I imagine what sort of wondrous encounters you've got next, well, I'm all agog. Yes, here begins our quest anew. Let us sally forth upon our... hello? Are you not listening to me?
Sire, you've really got to stop chasing these ideas all on your own. You'll be the death of us.
Once again, sire, I've asked you countless times to give word if you're to leave the castle. Such caprice.
Back in their traveling garb.
Nurse, don't tell me you called for them beforehand.
Saved us a bit of time, eh? Though, hello, what's this? I count only 2 of the 6 partisans. Short a few spears.
For my part, I believe 'tis unrealistic for all of us to depart the capital together.
Oh, so you've no plans to stop our little adventure, eh?
Hulkenberg and I talked it over. We decided that if you insist on going, we'd rather go with you than stop you.
Are you sure about this?
I was thinking back to our last fight with Luis. So many people supported us, but not for any high-minded ideals or arguments.
They were supporting us because we were actively fighting a monster on their behalf. In the end, people make choices based on their personal experience and emotion. Even if decided justly and supported by prosperity, the people may struggle to trust a king whose face they do not know. An invisible ruler is no cure for their fears.
Right. I'm not opposed to the idea of getting out into the world again. Really, it might be the wisest move to make sure you're a king everyone knows.
My friends and allies believe as I do. Their support is the greatest treasure I could have.
Still, this early into the new year, 'tis never a dull moment in your Majesty's employ.
Bit of a smaller party than we last set out with, huh? But it's a pleasure to be on the road again with you.
Okay, but can we really afford to have both our general and the Royal Guard's captain coming along for this?
'Tis natural course for the Royal Guard to accompany the king. And I trust my corps is not so feeble that it will fall apart in my absence.
Better be
We'll
right.
Make it work. Got to learn to trust others and delegate, right? We'll just have to lead by example.
And luckily we can teleport back anytime we need to. Pretty big boon right there. We got the original crew.
Right then. Let's go.
The one we left the capital with at the beginning of the game. I like it.
You once heard my voice and answered a query in kind. Is fantasy a powerless creation? A timeless question. So long as life remains in the world, we seekers all shall search for our answer, but he will find his. Of that I am certain. And it is thanks to you for believing in and guiding him. That was the true purpose of my royal magic, you know. To seek and obtain guidance from denizens of a land beyond ours. A land that has not yet lost hope.
Well, I fucking try.
And it was you who answered the call. Armed with your hope, armed with the power of fantasy, you rose in glory. Such courage, such whimsy, and yes, what thrills. You have my sincerest thanks.
Man, this is a good game. I'm sad that it's over.
Feels familiar. It's been far too long.
Aye, the wind feels an echo of days past.
Unusually poetic for you.
No flight this time?
They're awful, aren't they?
I guess they all
left
came.
us behind. Oh.
Well, I'm not certain we're in a position to talk, having followed straight after, saying we could just teleport back.
But hey, we figured the kids might want to change your scenery, like.
Wow!
Oh, she got to come with us! Oh, that's so sweet!
Amazing!
Poetic indeed.
Let's take her to
But the
all of the
scepter's
places we
absence
gave her
restored order
pictures.
to Magla, and even greenery to the sands.
I'll say, I definitely like this view better.
Oh, I'm so happy she got to come this time. Because remember, she asked to come last time. And it was just too dangerous. And obviously, such a bad idea. Oh, that's sweet. I'm so glad she got to go. Oh. Well, yeah. 2024 Game of the Year, hands down. It was a good year last year. Unicorn Overlord was probably my second favorite, and then I guess after that would probably be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think in that order. So top of the list would have been this game, then Unicorn Overlord, which was so good, and then Rebirth. Glad to hear that monk is still going strong. This was a great game. Has a really, really nice message for this time and place in the world, you know? There's a lot of strife out there right now, and this is the sort of message that needs to be put out in the world, you know? Like I said, having this where it's just like this almost naive optimism as a 34-year-old man who has lost all of that childlike optimism, it's just a really, really nice thing to have, you know? And if it wasn't done well, it probably would have annoyed me, right? Like there's a level of naivety and immaturity that like in some anime properties really annoys me as a somewhat pessimistic dude. And I think what it really comes down to is how well the message is told. And Atlus knows how to deliver their message, I feel like. But yeah, this was a fantastic game. I'm very, very happy with it. I'm very sad that it's over, but easily my game of the year. Let me know what you guys all thought about it. I was getting pretty emotional at some points there, especially once we were getting some of that more stuff, and it really, really connected with me. Just like, I don't know, I understood more very, very well in that moment, and it hit me like a truck. I really like the system in this game. A lot of familiar things with the press turn system, you know, that comes from the SMT series. And I think that they remixed it quite well. The archetype system was really, really fun. Building characters was really fun. It definitely had a different a way of building characters. There was definitely kind of an emphasis, or a de-emphasis, I should say, on all skills, right? They were harder to get, things like that. And they managed to balance it pretty well. There were still some difficult moments, so like even when we were getting to points where we were over-leveled for the enemies in a dungeon, a lot of the boss fights still put up enough of a challenge that it didn't become super, super easy still. So they gave us a lot of tools to kind of like get through some of the more annoying parts of RPGs, turn-based RPGs, and I liked it all. They gave you opportunities and methods to build characters that could be used for farming, but they didn't force you to farm. My barometer for whether I think a game is well balanced is I don't think that it's well balanced if it forces you to grind in order to succeed. So in other words, if you don't engage with the systems, you might have to grind a little bit, but if you engage with the systems, and the systems allow you to succeed even when you're maybe even underleveled, I think that that is generally a sign of a good system, right? A well-balanced system. It will be harder, but not insurmountable. Insurmountable, where you are required to grind, those are the types of things that tend to drive me up the wall. And I feel like this game had a really, really good balance on its difficulty. I also feel like this game had a great pacing. One of the things that's happened with, the Persona games, and honestly, I don't think this was intentional, but just the way that Persona 3 was made, I think that they expected people to go to the dungeon, and then once they were, finding themselves struggling to keep going or running out of MP, they would leave for the day and come back another day, right? But we've kind of found ourselves in this place where everybody's trying to maximize their time in Persona games, therefore they will find whatever methods they can, whether they be fun or not, to do the dungeon in a single day. And I'm one of those people, because I want to be efficient with my time and my days and accomplish as much and see as much of the story as possible by making sure that my time is spent wisely, right? So they looked at that and they said, okay, let's find a way to fix this. And I think this game is an answer to that problem. Shorter dungeons and more of them. We're still finishing them in one day. They give us tools to make that possible, some of which may have us, grinding out weak enemies to get back MP or something, but it's not required. It's not required, but they give you all of the tools to play it that way, because they know that their base of players is going to want to do these dungeons in a single day. And I think it was really, really smart. It also allows us to have more spaced out timing of like how often we're in dungeons, how often we're doing social stuff, and it makes it so that they're not so blocked out. Like, you play a Persona game, you do a dungeon for 10 hours, and then you do social stuff for 10 hours. All right, it's not actually 10 hours. It's probably like 5 hours and 5 hours, roughly, for each arc. I think that's about what it ends up being for most of the arcs in Persona games, is you do like 5 hours in the dungeon and then 5 hours doing kind of social stuff. And that's quite a long block of time, right? And so this game manages to kind of give you a different pacing, and a pacing that I think really worked with this game. If they're going to try something like this in Persona, I'd be very interested to see what it would look like. It would be a different looking Persona game, but I would be interested to see what they might think up trying to do something like that. My guess is that since they've split off their teams, they've probably got teams that are going to be working on either new IP, the team that worked on this, and or possibly continuing the Metaphor series, which we've talked about the possibility of them doing different genres. I honestly would love if Atlus would do kind of a Bloodborne-style gothic world. They could do some really, really cool stuff with that. Imagine the designs. Their designs in this game were creepy. Imagine if the whole world was a gothic and horror-based world. Like, dude, they could do some wild stuff. Atlus could go ham on that, and I would love to see it. But I don't know if they're going to continue a Metaphor-like series, or if they're going to just do new IP, or what. But I think that the next Persona game is probably going to look very much like Persona 5. Obviously, they're going to add some new stuff and whatnot, but I think it's going to look more like Persona 5 than it would this game, especially since there are different teams making them. But I would be interested to see what they would do if they tried to build some pacing that was similar to this game. Because I think the pacing in this game was very strong. And, I never really... I love the Persona games. Love them to death. It's one of my favorite series of all time. So I don't really have a big problem with the pacing of the Persona games. But it is nice playing this game and having, more variation from hour to hour. I thought it was great. Now, this is... a lot of the Persona games are rated mature, and this one is rated teen. And, it still managed to tackle a lot of really, really adult themes and still feel really mature. And I really appreciate that. It probably helped that we didn't have Mara. There's just a couple of demon/personas that probably help make those games always end up being mature. Mara's definitely one of them. But yeah. Well, I don't know if I have too much to say. We might be at a point where we just let the rest of the credits roll to see if there's an end credit scene, and maybe read whatever information they're going to give us about the New Game Plus. And I do believe that this game does have New Game Plus. I believe that there are super bosses that are New Game Plus only. And if it's the way that they traditionally do it with Atlus, like, it would be closer to the end of the game, so you'd have to play through the whole game again, but I don't really know. Somebody let me know in the comments how you access the super bosses, or if they don't actually exist, and maybe it's just like a DLC thing or something, I don't know. I tend not to look at DLC for Persona games or Atlus games until after I've beaten the game, because most of the DLC isn't very good with Atlus, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of them are just like, hey, we're going to give you this overpowered Persona, and we're going to charge you for skins, and I don't care to play with skins and things like that, so their DLC has never been a big thing for me. I love their games, don't love their DLCs. All right, we're at the end. The Great
Dear
Seeker.
Guest, from a world I shall never know.
So this is why we put in a different name for ourselves. So the Great Seeker analog, that's me.
In your eyes, I know our journey was ultimately a fiction. However, I hope your memories of this fantastical adventure burn as bright in your reality. I hope the promise of our world echoes in you.
It really does. And it makes me wish that, you know, the fantasies in games like this, the fantasy is really that we have the power to change the world, and then we come back to the real world and realize how little power we have. And we as individuals, we have to recognize where we do have power and make sure that we use it for good. And if more people were doing that right now in the world, we would live in a much better world. Right now, the world is a little bit scary, but just remember, we do have minor, little power. And if all of us exerted that power for good, it adds up. And, you know, I don't know. I am pessimistic about the world right now, and I try not to be, but I really do respect this game for the message that it's conveying right now, and it really does affect me. And this fiction did have power. So I think they achieved their goal.
With all my heart, I hope that fantasy gives you strength.
God damn, thanks. What a great game. Is that the Caradrius?
Look at that. The rubble's just bait for tourists now.
I never expected a view like this.
Let's see it all. Let's see the world.
Yeah. We gotta show Maria everything. We really do.
A new journey now beckons.
She deserves it.
In days of eld, the people prospered and perished in turn. Struck by their ways, I wrote a book of my dearest ideals. A tale of fantasy. In my vision, they placed their trust, and so the kingdom breathed new life.
The strength to believe in the unknown, that can change everything. Without a doubt, you will face all sorts of trials ahead.
It's Mom.
But carry onward with all your heart.
Mom and Dad.
Onward, fearless, into a world unknown.
Fantasy lives on. Okay, you can transfer currently owned items with some exceptions: Money Mag, Royal Virtues, scanned enemies, Memorandum, archetype statuses, and total playtime. We have our clear data. $119 hours and 8 minutes. And because of reloads, it's longer than that, I think. All right. Well, there we are. Thank you all so much for joining this playthrough. It was awesome. And so many of you came out to watch this series, and I'm so glad that you did. This game was fantastic. I love Atlus so much. And I cannot wait for whatever comes next from them, man. They had a great year last year. They had Persona 3 Reload, they had Unicorn Overlord, and they released this. It was a great year for Atlus. And I had a great time playing all of those games. So Atlus, keep being you. Stop making DLC that sucks. But other than that, keep being you. And thank you all for watching. And I hope you'll join for the next series. Our next series is going to be Kingdom Come Deliverance. Don't miss it. Bye, everybody.
I'd like to give a very special shout out to my patron supporters: Darren York, ZTD, Chris Murphy, JW, Quinless, Vlado101, Bruce Wizzle, Black Mamba 90, Eureka Gecko, Hito Kuto, Shadow Raven, Hannah Kate the Great, Emily Kuzanoa, Philip Doughty, Timothy Jansen, Skip, Naya, Turkeyfoot 27, Bean Curry, DWJ Media, Craig E. Christian, Black Ren, Barrettscape, Sanctum, Joshua Jarvis, Clockwork Hour, and Nadia N. If you would also like to join this tier or any others, check out my memberships or my Patreon in the description down below.